Hi, I'm Vince, and I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud. Interviewing at Google is no secret. We evaluate across 4 pillars: general cognitive ability, leadership, Googliness, and role-related knowledge. Today, we want to take some time to set you up for success for your technical interviews, specifically the general cognitive ability and role-related knowledge interviews for customer engineering. The General Cognitive Ability Interview, or GCA, will be a mix of behavioral and hypothetical questions designed to assess how you would solve problems. We are looking for a specific framework to your responses. We want to see how you approach the problem, gather data and relevant information, how you identify a solution, and how you measure your success. Be mindful of what type of questions you're being asked. If it's hypothetical, try not to tie it back to a past situation. Here's an example of a question you might expect. Imagine that you're working with an enterprise client that is very concerned about moving to the cloud. How would you approach the conversation? A follow-up might be, how would you change your approach if the client was already working with a competitor? The Role-Related Knowledge Interview, or RRK, will assess your sales skills, cloud foundational knowledge, and domain expertise. This interview will also involve an architectural design element where you'll be expected to convey your technical solution to a hypothetical scenario. There will be a whiteboard available, and you're encouraged to use it if it helps you to make your design, as well as various components and processes, understood. In this interview, you'll be expected to demonstrate proficiency in infrastructure, plus 1 to 2 other domain areas. You'll also be expected to demonstrate good presence, meeting mechanics, and time management. There will be 2 interviewers in the session. One will serve as the primary interviewer, asking you questions, and the secondary interviewer will take notes and ask follow-up questions during the interview. You should expect to spend a minute or 2 doing introductions, followed by 5 to 10 minutes of sales skills questions, 15 to 20 minutes of cloud foundation questions, and about 30 minutes of domain expertise questions and whiteboarding. Please know that this is general guidance for the interview, and actual timing may vary. We also try to save time at the end for you to ask your questions of us. During the sales skills portion of the interview, expect 1 to 2 questions designed to assess how you'd prioritize clients and stakeholders and the sales discovery process. During the cloud foundational knowledge portion of the interview, expect 2 to 3 questions that test your ability to articulate the value proposition of cloud computing, talk through when and why it might make sense to move to the cloud, cloud security, and the concept of IaaS versus PaaS. Once the prior questions have been asked, the interviewers will pivot and ask you to design a solution based on a hypothetical scenario. Whether you're interviewing for a generalist role or a specialist role for our customer engineering team, you'll be expected to showcase your technical depth, ability to articulate solutions, and talk through both the pros and cons of your recommendation. As customer engineers, we often have to convey complex architectures, and one of the things that we want to assess in RRK is your ability to do that. You'll be in a room with a whiteboard, and you're invited to use it if it helps you to convey your architecture more clearly. Let's walk through a sample RRK architecture question. If you were to build a cloud architecture for the next Airbnb, how would you design it? You can start with a high-level explanation of the components to your architecture and why they're needed. From there, you'll want to dive into the details of your choices and be prepared for your interviewers to challenge you and to ask follow-up questions. We may ask questions related to your storage choices, availability, scalability, disaster recovery, migration, and the relative cost of your architectural choices. If you're interviewing for a specialist role, expect that the interview will be slightly more tailored to your experience, whether that be networking, virtual machine migration, or one of the many other specialist domain areas. You should be able to go several layers deep in your area of expertise. To close, we wanted to provide you with a final few tips for success. First, make sure you understand the question. It's perfectly acceptable to confirm your understanding of the question. Ask the interviewer follow-up questions if you're unclear. This sounds obvious, but answering the wrong question can demonstrate that you're not listening to the customer. Be clear, concise, and confident. Confidence in your delivery is confidence in your answer. Overly verbose answers diminish the value and clarity of what you're trying to communicate. Remember the time you asked a friend a simple question, but they went on and on, leaving you more confused? Talk us through your thinking process, and as you wrap up, summarize the points to provide clarity to your response. Support your responses with examples. Nothing beats a real-world example. As you provide your reasoning behind some of your responses, real examples help to solidify and support them. Best of luck on your interviews.